absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world. They lied and stole and smoked cigars, even the girls, and talked dirty and hit little kids and cussed their teachers and took the name of the Lord in vain and set fire to Fred Schumacher's old broken down tool house. Hi guys, this is one of my favorite books. It's The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, or The Worst Christmas Pageant Ever. You need to read this book to find out what the Herdmans are really like.
Suitcase? Tibby asked Carmen. It's making me sick. Carmen glanced at the structured canvas bag splayed wantonly in the middle of her bed. Suddenly, she wished she had all new underwear. Her best satin pair was sprouting tiny ropes of elastic from the waistband. It's making me sick, Lena said. I haven't started packing. My flight's at 7. Read The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. It's a nice series here at the library by Anne Brashares.
Wolves, Piper said. They sound close. Jason rose and summoned his sword. Leo and Coach Hedge got to their feet too. Piper tried, but black spots danced before her eyes. Stay there, Jason told her. We'll protect you. She gritted her teeth. She hated feeling helpless. She didn't want anyone to protect her. First, the stupid ankle, now stupid hypothermia. She wanted to be on her feet with her dagger in her hand. Then, just outside, the firelight at the entrance of the cave, she saw a pair of red eyes glowing in dark. Okay, she thought, maybe a little protection is fine. And more wolves edged to the firelight, black beasts bigger than Great Danes with ice and snow caked on their fur. Their fangs gleamed and their glowing eyes looked disturbingly intelligent. The wolf in the front was almost as tall as a horse, his mouth stained as he had just made a fresh kill. Hey, it's me. Read The Lost Hero, very enjoyable series. Read Percy Jackson, now I'm one of these, so check them out, they're a great read.
He saw the first tree shudder and fall, far off in the distance. Then he heard his mother call out the kitchen window, "Luke, inside, now!" He had never disobeyed the order to hide. Even as a toddler, barely able to walk in the backyard's tall grass, he had somehow understood the fear in his mother's voice. But on this day, the day they began taking the woods away, he hesitated. He took one extra breath of fresh air, scented with clover and honeysuckle, and coming from far away, pine smoke. He laid his hoe down gently and savored one last moment of feeling warm soil beneath his bare feet. He reminded himself, I will never be allowed outside again. Maybe never again as long as I live. Okay, if you haven't tried a dystopian book, this is one of my top picks. It's the first book in the Shadow Children series, Among the Hidden. Find out why this boy cannot leave the house.
It's a funny thing about mothers and fathers. Even when their own child is the most disgusting little blister you could ever imagine, they still think that he or she is wonderful. Some parents go further. They could become so blinded by adoration they manage to convince themselves their child has qualities of genius. Well, there's nothing very wrong with all this. It's the way of the world. It is only when parents begin telling us about the brilliance of their own revolting offspring that we start shouting, "Bring us a basin, we're going to be sick!"
This is Matilda, my childhood favorite book. We have it in our library in the classics section. You gotta read it.
Chapter 1. If you are interested in stories with happy endings, you would be better off reading some other book. In this book, not only is there no happy ending, there is no happy beginning and very few happy things in the middle. This is because not very many happy things happened in the lives of the 3 Baudelaire youngsters. Violet, Klaus, and Sunny Baudelaire were intelligent children, and they were charming and resourceful and had pleasant facial features, but they were extremely unlucky, and most everything that happened to them was rife with misfortune, misery, and despair. I'm sorry to tell you this, but that is how the story goes. And if you're looking for a first book in a great series, I would recommend the series of Unfortunate Events, The Very Bad Beginning. Happy reading.
I was walking along whistling when I heard the dog fight. At first I paid no attention to it. After all, it wasn't anything to get excited about, just another dog fight in a residential section. As the sounds of the fight grew near, I could tell there were quite a few dogs mixed up in it. They boiled out of an alley, turned and headed straight toward me. Not wanting to get bitten or run over, I moved over to the edge of the other sidewalk. Hey, thanks for listening. This is Mr. Brawl, and I just want to let you know, as a kid, this was and still is my all-time favorite book. I love the outdoors. I love hunting. I want you to check this out. Thank you.
I was born with water on the brain. Okay, so that's not exactly true. I was actually born with too much cerebral spinal fluid inside my skull. But cerebral spinal fluid is just a doctor's fancy way of saying brain grease. And brain grease works inside the lobes, like car grease works inside an engine. It keeps things running smooth and fast. But weirdo me, I was born with too much grease inside my skull, and it got all thick and muddy and disgusting, and it only mucked up the works. My thinking and breathing and living engine slowed down and flooded. The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian. Awesome book. Try it out.
When my brother Fish turned 13, we moved to the deepest part of inland because of the hurricane, and, of course, the fact that he'd caused it. I had liked living down south on the edge of land, next to the pushing, pulling waves. I had liked it with a mighty kind of liking. So moving had been hard like the pavement the first time I fell off my pink two-wheeler, and my palms burned like fire from all of the hurt just under the skin. But it was plain that Fish could live nowhere near or nearby or next to or close to or on or around any largest bodies of water. Water had a way of triggering my brother and making ordinary, everyday weather take a frightening turn for the worse. Read Savvy. It's in the fantasy section.
I decided to steal a dog was the same day my best friend, Luann Godfrey, found out I lived in a car. I had told Mama she would find out sooner or later, seeing as how she's so nosy and all. But Mama had rolled her eyes and said, "Just get up there on that bus stop, Georgiana, and quit your whining." So that's what I did. I stood up there at bus stop pretending like I still lived in apartment 3B. I pretended like I didn't have mustard on my shirt from the day before. I pretended like I hadn't washed my hair in the morning bathroom of the Texaco gas station that very morning. And I pretended like my daddy hadn't just waltzed off and left us with nothing but 3 rolls of quarters and a mayonnaise jar full of wadded up dollar bills. I guess I'm pretty good at pretending. So this book, How to Steal a Dog, is a great book. If you haven't read it, definitely check it out from the library. It's there. This is by Barbara O'Connor. And yeah, great book.